All right, bull runners, welcome back to the channel. So we have some big news happening in the crypto space right now for Bitcoin, Ethereum, the rest of the altcoin market. And in this video, we're going to dive into exactly what's going on, how to prepare, and what the forecast is looking like for this entire bull run the rest of this year going into 2025. So you're going to love this video. So looking at the Bitcoin to the US dollar price chart, you can see since September 11th, we've been up over 90+% for over 122 days. So we're bound to see a correction. We've been talking about this. Bitcoin did a 618 retracement, and I'll explain what that means throughout the course of this video and what I'm expecting to happen next, leading into Bitcoin's halving, and then what I'm expecting to happen after Bitcoin's halving and how that will affect XRP compared to Bitcoin. And so we have some big news taking place, some massive updates for you guys that you're gonna love, some powerful clips, and what's happening in the World Economic Forum. So comment 777 if you're feeling blessed, comment 777 if you're feeling bullish, and if you're gonna become the first millionaire in your family tree, you know what to do. Grab your putter, take the like button, tap it in, sink the putt, give it a tippity-tapperoo. We're doing it for grandma. We're beating the SEC, and we're buying our house back with cryptocurrencies. Let's run it.
Are U.S. Treasury bonds still safe to invest in?
Very much so. I think this is not an issue of credit rating. The United States can pay any debt it has because we can always print money to do that. So there is zero probability of default.
So the guy on the right, his reaction says it all, saying the quiet part out loud. The government is always just going to print their way out of their own problems, but that creates bigger problems down the road and kicks the can down the road, so to speak. And so I do have some exciting news to share with you guys in this video, but I also do have some concerns that I need to bring to the table so you can be ready for them, because when we talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly, then you can get ready for the worst. Like I always say at the end of every video, we give you the best to help you prepare for the worst that's yet to come. So looking at Bitcoin's price chart at the top here, we've been seeing one of the best rallies for Bitcoin from the low, 16,000 some odd dollars, 15,000, whatever it was at, of about 197%, 200%. So we've been rallying for 387 days. And there's periods during a bull market. A lot of people are like, are we going into the bull market? Guys, we've been in the bull market since November of 2022. That's when the bear market was officially done, right here. The 20th of November, 2022, we started the bull market. And so during the bull market, there's different phases of the bull. And, during this phase right here, this whole accumulation phase, you guys can see, Bitcoin rallied up to about $30,000-ish, 31,000, and then struggled to break that 31K resistance. Now that we broke that, we're starting the next phase of the bull. And so, we're in phase 2 of the bull. So phase 1 is the accumulation phase where, Bitcoin breaks out from the low and, it forms a new high, and the resistance that it comes up to test is previous zones of support from the bear market or the previous bull market. So as you guys can see right here, the resistance that it was testing was this zone of support back from June of 2021, July of 2021, and it acted as resistance during the whole FTX Terra Luna collapse phase right here during the bear market. So during the bull, it was support. During the bear, it was resistance. And so during the phase 1 of the bull, this whole accumulation phase right here, this is the resistance that it struggled to break out. So usually what happens here, and this is very well on the table here, we've been talking about this. So Bitcoin seeing a sell-off going into the halving has happened every single bull run cycle. And so for the people to say that this time it's different, haven't been around last time and the time before then. The people that are saying this time it's different are the people that this is their first bull run. So, or they just came in during the last bull run. They've never been through a bear market before, and that was their first bear market. So for the OGs on this channel that have been around since, 2016 or before then, I came into the crypto market a little late. I was like 2016, 2017. So going on 8 years now, but that's still early in the grand scale. But I guess if you want to call that like a good enough amount of time to been through a few cycles, I've made a lot of money, I've lost a lot of money, and I kind of got a pulse on what's going to happen next. Again, I'm no future teller here, and I want to share with you guys facts and what's happening from a fundamental and a technical perspective, because looking at the past bull run here to allow you to come up with your own conclusion, because I never provide you with guys with financial advice No investing advice. This is all educational purposes only. What you choose to do is up to you. I do share with you what I personally do and what I'm bullish on, and then you can make up your own mind there. But looking back in 2015 right here, when Bitcoin broke out, very similar to what happened during this bull run cycle, when Bitcoin broke out from 15K, rallied all the way upwards of 30K, and then consolidated sideways for an extended period of time for about 200 days, we saw the same theme happen back here. Bitcoin broke out from like $200, went all the way upwards of $500, and consolidated sideways for 200 days before breaking out again. So this breakout that happened recently with the excitement of the ETFs coming at the end of October was very similar to this breakout right here for Bitcoin in May of 2016, rallying upwards of $700. And so Bitcoin, saw an impulse from April of 2016, rallied up over 100%, very similar to what happened here. Bitcoin saw this impulse from September and October, upwards of almost 100%. And now that we're seeing Bitcoin come down, how much further to the downside could we go? Because people think that, this is a correction for Bitcoin, and we're only down, guys, 18%, which is not that much compared to the past. You better get used to, if you're ready to be in crypto for a long period of time, you better get used to 20 to 40% corrections on the way up, even up to 60% corrections, the higher that we get in price. And so right now, if we were to do a 40% correction, you guys saw how long this took for Bitcoin to drop 40%. It was about 50 plus days. And so the buy the rumors, sell the news is exactly what's happening for this ETF right now. And sure, people can make the argument that there's a lot of inflows happening on Coinbase and, with BlackRock scooping up more Bitcoin, but there's more outflows, more people are selling, and that's a fact because the price chart shows it. So you can't ignore the price chart, right? We have to look at the chart, and then we'll talk about the news on what's to come in the future and what to expect, because I ain't worried at all, right? I'm going to be excited if the price comes down further, because we're only down 18%. If we break 40K, I would expect us to drop to 37, 38K really quick. If we break below 38, 37K, then I would expect us to wick down to 33, 34. I don't know if we'll come all the way back down to 31 or 30K. We could, very well possible, but I do think it would be something similar to this back in August of 2016 on the weekly, where it'd be a weekly wick where we would wick down to this, and then it would get bought up, and then the price would just kind of remain range bound and consolidate for an extended period of time through 2024, and then break out towards the tail end of 2024, 6 to 12 months after Bitcoin's halving. Now in the short term, it's not like we're just going to drop right away. Bitcoin could just be choppy over the next few weeks and, come back up to retest 44, 45K and then stay within here for a period of time. But if we break 40K and we come to 38K, I would expect to do something like this over the next few months, going down into Bitcoin's halving. And there'd be periods where people expect the price to recover and come all the way back up to this upward trending resistance right here. And it very well could, we could come back up to that, but I don't think we're going to be passing 50K until the end of 2024. And as you guys can see back here, back in June of 2016, how long did it take before we passed that again? 189 days. So very similar to how it took 200 days to pass 31K during phase one of the bull. Well, now that we're in phase two, to pass the high of $49,000, if it were to take, let's say, 189 days or 190 days, that puts us in the summer of 2024. And then for us to really start breaking out, that's the tail end of 2024, quarter three and quarter four. Am I exiting the crypto market right now? No, I believe in the long-term vision of this, but I do want to share with you guys what happened during the past few bull runs, as I have in previous videos. If we were to draw the Fibonacci retracement from the high of 2013 to the low, was a 618 retracement, and then it dropped 40%. And so for this bull run cycle, depending on where you're measuring from, if you're measuring from the first peak back here in April of 2021 to the low, Bitcoin's done almost a 702 retracement, just above a 618. If we measure to the actual all-time high, Bitcoin did just barely above a 618. So Bitcoin's done a 618 retracement. And last time that happened, it was healthy to see a pullback, because a lot of people, say it would be awesome and it'd be good for Bitcoin to go to, to break the all-time high right now. But that really wouldn't be that good, guys. We need to be a little more patient on the way up. It's healthy for Bitcoin to see retracements. Now, it's not fun. Obviously it's not fun to be able to sit there and watch your portfolio bleed out 30, 40%. And it's interesting to see where that money moves and that liquidity flows, because as you guys know, when Bitcoin drops, so do the altcoins. That's why the altcoins have been taking a beating. XRP is sitting at 54 cents right now. Solana, $92. down on the week. Cardano down 12%. Avalanche, one of the ones that's performing very well, almost down over 11%. Polkadot down 11%. Chainlink's doing pretty good. So there are some ones that are holding up very well, while the majority of the market, Internet Computer down 11%, Uniswap. So overall, if you're well diversified in this industry, your whole portfolio is down. So in the short term, it's not fun. If we drop further and you haven't hedged out and you don't have dry powder on the side, then it's going to be very difficult for you to buy the dip if we do come, let's say, to $30,000 to $33,000 or $35,000. So I do expect somewhere within this range right here for Bitcoin as we work our way down over the next few months to come within here. But then I do expect this to get bought up and for us to work our way out of here and come back up to retest the high and then maybe get rejected from it and consolidate at it tail end of 2024. We break out going into Q1 of 2025, and I'll share why too with election stuff, election manipulation. You guys know that in the United States, one of the biggest, most manipulated elections of all time. I mean, you're really telling me that Joe Biden, whether you love him or hate him, was really elected legitimately? I'm not going to confirm or deny that, but the guy can barely talk, guys. He can barely walk on stage without running into a wall. And so, not to get into politics too much, but I could see something happening towards the end of this year to interfere with election, interfere with the markets, because what the elite would want is they want to shake you out of your position. Okay, they want to be able to accumulate more of the asset class of the future, which is cryptocurrencies on blockchain technology. They want to be able to get the best deals. So it only makes sense for them to orchestrate something to make more money, right? You guys saw the video I talked about how BlackRock Insider, a gatekeeper, exposing how BlackRock operates and how they profit off things like war, how they profit off, politics, how they profit off shakeout events, and how they manipulate, the media and all of that stuff. So that's pretty obvious. We don't need to get too much into conspiracy theory land. Let's talk about the facts on what's happening in the markets and what could be taking place. Because if other spot Bitcoin ETFs manage to reach critical mass in terms of size and liquidity, then adding an additional 5 billion to 10 billion could exit GBTC if it loses its liquidity advantage. And so that would mean more selling pressure on the market. That would mean more liquidation events for leveraged traders. And I'll show you the heat map in a little bit. But to shift gears just a little bit, Bitcoin surpassed silver to become the second largest ETF commodity in the United States. So silver was previously, the second leading ETF in terms of assets under management in the US. However, spot Bitcoin ETF funds, including the conversion of Grayscale's GBTC trust, now holds approximately 647,000 Bitcoin, which amounts to $27 billion in assets under management. So according to data from CoinGlass, the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust currently holds 619,000 Bitcoin, even with the sell-off. And so you guys can see gold and then silver, crude oil, natural gas. So Bitcoin's climbing up there, and it's going to continue to pave its trail as a leading asset class for these institutions moving forward, as Larry Fink would say. So GBTC has since 2017 been operating a Bitcoin lobster pot. So anyone with Bitcoins could give them to Grayscale Investments in exchange for OTC traded shares in the trust, but there was no way to get the Bitcoin back. So this is what's taking place. GBTC last week converted to the ETF, giving its backers their first opportunity to reclaim the $28 billion or thereabouts of Bitcoin it had collected. And in the 4 days following the spot ETF approval, their redemptions to total more than $1.6 billion. And so obviously, some GBTC shareholders wanted to cash out. And though it's silly to draw conclusions from only 4 days of data, it's interesting that GBTC redemptions on Tuesday exceeded total inflows for all other US spot ETFs. So the chart from JP Morgan says it all for this right here. And it looks like GBTC investors who over the past year have been buying the fund at a significant discount for its eventual ETF conversion had been taking full profit post ETF conversion by exiting the Bitcoin space entirely, rather than shifting to cheaper spot Bitcoin ETFs or funds that charge lower fees. So if the previous 3 billion estimate proves to be correct, and 1.5 billion has exited already, then if there's an additional 1.5 billion still to exit the Bitcoin space, well, that would put further selling pressure on the price over the coming weeks. And looking at the liquidation heat maps, I talked about this, guys. I'm showing you the data here. And so you can choose to ignore it and be a perma bull, or you can look at the facts in the short term and then zoom out for the long term and figure out a long-term strategy for yourself. So obviously you have a short-term strategy if you're a day trader. You have a long-term strategy if you're a hodler for long-term. So $34,000 is where $2.9 billion in leverage the majority of this is at on the 3-month on Binance Bitcoin to USDT heat map. So most of this would be liquidated down at 32K, 31,000 to 32K. So I think we might come back down there, and it would be a quick wick, similar to what happened right here with the fake news about the SEC's account, whether it was planned or fake, being hacked. I honestly think some of that was probably orchestrated to be able to shake it out to the upside and to the downside to liquidate a lot of these leverage traders. Now, the next area would be 31, 32K. Now, how that would affect XRP? Well, let's look back at the last bull run and let's see how Bitcoin's 40% drop to back test the resistance of the previous range as support affected XRP. Because as you guys know, during 2015 to 2017, XRP was heavily suppressed, and then it just broke out to the upside out of nowhere, pissing everybody off. So when Bitcoin dropped 40%, what did XRP do? XRP dropped down to 0.005. So the crash for XRP, down here was not as significant as Bitcoin. It was 26%. And then we saw XRP just kind of struggle to break out. It had this rally upwards of almost a penny, and then saw one final sell-off while Bitcoin was rallying for an extended period of time. So all the way until February of 2017. So you guys can see from that initial crash right here, all the way until February 2017 when XRP bottomed out, Bitcoin rallied up to $1,340. And so Bitcoin was up, 186% during that time, while XRP was down 50% during that time period. And so it would have made more sense to be in Bitcoin during that rally after the initial crash to back test the previous range. And so arguably this bull run around, it could make more sense to be in Bitcoin when Bitcoin finds a low around 30 to 35K leading into the halving and ride Bitcoin up towards the end of 2024. And then it could make sense, let me know your guys' thoughts, to pivot some of that profit into XRP if we see something like this take place for one final shakeout event for XRP to piss everybody off before we go camping on the beaches of the moon and liquidity flows into XRP. Because there's been too many partnerships, guys. There's been too much massive news to ignore for XRP. And yes, it is pissing everyone off because the price hasn't done too much over the past few months. I mean, arguably since 4th of November, we're down 28%. How is that happening when Bitcoin has been rallying since November? You guys can see this upward trending resistance for Bitcoin right here since December 3rd, whereas since December 3rd for XRP, where have we been? I mean, since December 3rd right here, we've been in this downtrend. So Bitcoin was an uptrend, while XRP is in a downtrend. Now with Bitcoin seeing even further of a sell-off, that's bleeding into XRP even more. So where would I expect XRP to go if Bitcoin comes down to 30 to 35K? I would expect XRP to come all the way back down to 40 to 45 cents to this upward trending support right here. This would also be where this support is back from June of 2023, where you see these wicks at. So I would expect XRP to wick within this range right here and to do something like this over the next few months leading into April, May, somewhere around there. Maybe see another sell-off event going into the election if they manipulate election. If we go to Google, we can type in a thing called Disease X. I could picture them shutting down the country one more time. And the reason why is because COVID could have been a compliance test. And for the people that say I'm a conspiracy theorist, not really, because Congress is already preparing for this. Joe Biden already says we need more money to prepare for the second pandemic. And so COVID was a compliance test to get people to wear masks to be submissive. They want everyone to be submissive so they don't rally up and they don't fight against what the elite are doing, right? Because when you create a population of obedience, then they can't, fight back when the New World Order comes into play. And so it's all psychology. It's run from Nazis. They studied the Nazis over from Germany, and they could have brought some of them over in the government. So HR, a bill, the House of Representatives, guys. So for those of you that think I'm a conspiracy theorist, Congress.gov, it's called Disease X Act of 2023. So whether they call it Disease X or they call it something else, there's already reports of stuff coming over from other countries and like these measles and stuff that, and this 100% death rate, new disease happening. So I'm not gonna bring too much information on that because I know we're a crypto channel here, but it does affect crypto. And so what would that do? Well, shakeout events, be ready for them, guys. Massive sell-off like COVID. So if you don't have anything on the sidelines, if you don't have stable coins, then you won't be able to buy that dip if we crash like we did 60, 70% in less than 3 weeks. So I know a lot of people are like, whoa, we could crash 60, 70%. Absolutely. And does that scare me? No, not at all. I really don't care, at all. I look at it like, okay, well, what can I do to take control of my own future? And how can I be completely emotionally indifferent from what they do to be able to preserve my freedom long term? And so all I do every day is I work on the business, I work on my dreams, I be able to figure out what's happening in the markets and be able to prepare to help you guys win. And we're going to be launching our financial education platform here soon. We've been working on that for months and months and months to give you guys the right education that you need, make it crypto education, financial education accessible for all. And so you guys can get access to that on bullrunners.com. Right now, take the time, go subscribe. It's free to put in your email address. You get instant access to our Telegram group. You guys will be notified first. And then also you'll see which altcoin picks we're the most bullish on as we go back into the parabolic stages of, the final phase 3 and phase 4 leading into 2025. You want to be ready and you want to be positioned in the correct projects, because you look at companies like Uber. Well, the Uber CEO has said that Uber will 100% definitely accept Bitcoin and crypto payments in the future. And so Ripple appointed a former Uber executive to lead the Southeast Asian expansion. So if we look here, Brooks Entwistle joined Ripple after serving as Uber's chief business officer, leading the firm's growth and navigating regulatory issues through the Asia Pacific region. The new managing director of Ripple's Southeast Asian wing has previously spent 2 decades at Goldman Sachs, operating as partner and chairman in the same geographic region. And so you guys know that Ripple just keeps making these massive partnerships. And right now in Davos, Switzerland, Brad Garlinghouse has been speaking about the impact of, the Bitcoin ETFs and the future of crypto regulations. Listen to this.
So Ripple at its core, we sell blockchain technologies and solutions to enterprises. We focus primarily on financial institutions. We started with a payments solution to settle cross-border settlement for banks, for PSPs. Typically, cross-border payments have been slow. They've been expensive. Using these technologies, we can dramatically reduce the cost and increase the speed and efficiency.
And now you're seeing financial services institutions try to get their own strategy with regard to blockchain underway. How has that changed the dynamic for Ripple?
Well, I think anytime you have a new technology, it's nascent, and although crypto's kind of been around for 10 or almost 12 years, let's say, it's still new. And I think you have a lot of large organizations, even JP Morgan, despite Jamie Dimon's comments about how he thinks about crypto, they're investing heavily in blockchain technologies. Now, that being said, I think in order for blockchain to thrive and for the largest population to benefit from these technologies, you can't have insular closed networks. The whole point, it's kind of like the internet. The internet opened up networks. You had AOL and CompuServe and Prodigy. Along comes the internet to create interoperability. Crypto does that and can do that across many banks and to provide dramatic improvements to how we think about money movement and really any transaction.
And with any new technology, I question whether or not those writing the laws around the regulation framework really understand the technology. Now, recently, you called the Securities and Exchange Commission Chairman Gary Gensler a, quote, political liability to the United States. You said he's acting in the interests of citizenry or the long-term growth of the economy, that he's not acting on behalf of customers and users. Tell us more.
Well, look, I think Gary Gensler has prioritized hiring more lawyers to litigate the industry. And this is often described as, or kind of regulation through enforcement. If we just took the time to codify rules of the road, most of the industry in crypto wants to follow the rules of the road. Countries around the world have leaned in. Even the European Union, 27 countries in the European Union have come together to create a construct for how crypto should be regulated. In the United States, we haven't done this work. I jokingly suggested maybe what we should just do is type into ChatGPT, how should the U.S. That's more than the U.S. SEC has done. And it's frustrating. And I think I guess yesterday there was a court hearing between Coinbase and the SEC. And the judicial system continues to slap down the SEC because they're overreaching. They're overstepping what the laws say. It's the reason why they lost the case against Ripple. It's the reason why they lost the case against Grayscale. It's the reason why they were dragged kicking and screaming to have an ETF. Thus, as I was quoted, I think Gary Gensler hasn't been acting. He's been acting on almost his own agenda, not the people's agenda in the United States. I wish I had a clear answer to that. I think these are technologies that are here to stay. And the ETF approval is, I think, further indication of that. It's just frustrating that we're spending so much time in the judicial process to get clarity when we could do that, as many other countries like Japan, the UK, the UAE, Switzerland, here in Switzerland. These are not small economies. They're doing the work to provide that clarity. And in the U.S., I think it's become a political agenda, not a policy agenda.
From someone who's studied this as many years as you have, what would be the proper framework on a regulatory environment that needs to be in place?
Well, I think the number one thing I think about is not about regulating the technology. It's about regulating the outcomes and the activity. Just because we have new technologies, we should still care about things like KYC, know your customer. We should still care about anti-money laundering, AML. Those are principles that are, I think, sacrosanct. I think the U.S. SEC has been trying to expand their remit to say, well, this new market, a $1.7 trillion market of crypto assets, is going to be under the remit of the SEC in the United States. The law does not support that. The CFTC is a much more natural regulator. And things people will say, well, what about FTX? And, ironically, Gary Gensler was meeting with Sam Bankman-Fried repeatedly. FTX isn't about a crypto fraud. FTX is about a fraud. It happens to have been crypto, and it definitely was a self-inflicted wound for the industry. But one of the reasons I'm excited for what is ahead in 2024 is the headwinds of these self-inflicted wounds have largely abated.
Are you clear on who the regulators are? Because it seems like there are still questions, SEC, CFTC, or maybe everybody.
Well, in the U.S., there's still confusion, for sure. Outside of the U.S., and the reason why Ripple has continued to grow very quickly outside the U.S., 95% of our customers are non-U.S. financial institutions. 75% of our hiring last year was outside the United States because of this. But yet, if you go back to the earliest days of the internet, the U.S. did the work and provided clarity of how the internet would be regulated. And the internet today is, on a geopolitical basis, has benefited the United States more than any other country.
It's a great point. I want to get your take on what the CEO of Circle said. He says he sees a strong chance that the U.S. passes laws for stablecoin issues this year. Brad, tell us about the stablecoin and the potential looming regulation there.
So I think the regulation there is appropriate. I think it is the priority on Capitol Hill. I've spent a bunch of time in Washington, D.C. The U.S. Treasury, stablecoins, 95+% of the market of stablecoins is the U.S. dollar stablecoin. You have Tether, you have USDC. And I think the U.S. Treasury wants to see that those laws passed, and I think they will be pushing Congress to act. And I think that's good. That's forward progress. There are new dynamics of what stablecoins mean to financials kind of settlement. And so I think the CEO, Jeremy Allaire of Circle, is correct that that'll probably happen in the first half of this year.
Piece in the Journal this morning on how China's crypto traders are evading the rules there. They write this: the success of the country's crypto traders in evading the rules shows how difficult it will be for regulators across the world, including the United States, to actually police this industry. Your reaction?
I think there are elements of that with any new technology. There's obviously the Great Firewall of China is something that has people have sought to circumvent, evade within China for probably a decade or two. I think, again, if you think about the activities that these technologies enable, KYC still matters, AML still matters, and ultimately today there are the off ramps through typically exchanges like Coinbase that are very good actors, where I think you are able to enforce these kinds of regulations. That's part of the self-inflicted wound of a settlement with Binance, the largest exchange in the world, with the U.S. government, I think a few months ago. Well,
that settlement you just referred to, congratulations to you and to Grayscale. What does this mean for you in terms of new business opportunities now that that's behind?
Look, Ripple really thrived under the scrutiny of the SEC, but outside the United States. My hope is that now that there is at least clarity for Ripple that XRP is not a security, that opens up the U.S. market a little bit. The challenge, of course, is you still have U.S. regulators who are pretty hostile, right? The SEC continues their litigation, enforcement through litigation, and even the OCC has been pretty negative about crypto. My view is this is a technology, this is an asset class that is here to stay. We need to embrace it and understand that. And I think ultimately the U.S. typically gets it right. It just has taken a little while.
So what's the pushback for Jamie Dimon, who was on the program last week saying, look who's using crypto, terrorists, look who's using sex traffickers?
My reaction to that is terrorists and sex traffickers use cash. If you look on a percentage basis, I'm not trying to say that any new technology, bad actors can use any new tool. Bad actors will use AI. Bad actors will use crypto. I think there are a lot of very good actors in crypto who are doing the right thing. Ripple only works with regulated financial institutions. You can't have anonymous transactions using Ripple's technology. So, some of those things I think are good political talking points. They're not reality.
And so for those of you guys that saw Jamie Dimon say that, yeah, there's a use case for crypto or Bitcoin is fraud, money laundering, tax avoidance, sex trafficking, that makes sense from a political argument perspective because some of that may be true, but Brad actually makes more logical sense considering the fact that JP Morgan was hit with a $200 million in fines for letting employees use WhatsApp to evade regulator reach, agreed to pay a $920 million in connection with schemes to defraud precious metals in U.S. Treasuries market. France fines U.S. bank JP Morgan $29.6 million in tax fraud settlement. JP Morgan paid a $75 million fine for a role in Epstein's sex trafficking operation. So, for Jamie Dimon to make these arguments, it's really hypocritical. And anyone with a sense of common sense can see through that guy's lies and realize why, crypto is the future. And so, yeah, with, certain money laundering and all that different stuff, that happens in any industry, right? Happened to the internet. There's bad people everywhere. It's kind of like saying that guns need to be taken away from people because they're bad. No, a gun doesn't kill people. People kill people. And so it's all about the person. It's like a sword can be, or a knife can be used to cut your food. It can also be used to kill somebody. How do you choose to use it? So crypto could be used for good or it could be used for bad, but majority of it is being used by good people like yourself that are using it to secure your financial freedom and your family's freedom. And so Alexa is answering the question, and we did this in the past where we asked Alexa, did Ripple win the lawsuit? And she said, yes, they won the lawsuit before the lawsuit was even over. And so now Alexa was asked this question.
Alexa, what is the world's bridge currency?
XRP is the world bridge currency.
So they're just prepping the payment rails right now, and when it happens, you guys will be shocked. You'll be like waking up overnight and you'll be like, wow, all that patience is paid off. But in the meantime, you have to take a lot of hate from people. I mean, we take some of the most hate by talking about XRP every single day because people in the comments are like, you don't know what you're talking about. Bitcoin's been outperforming XRP. But they're saying stuff that's common sense. It's like, of course it has. And I'm well diversified in this industry. So if XRP takes another 5 years to do anything, I don't care. If it doesn't do anything, I don't care. It doesn't matter. I've made good money from other projects. I've even held some Bitcoin. I made a lot of money from Bitcoin from those rumors, and I hedged out of Bitcoin into the altcoin projects that I believe will be around long term through the ISO 222 plan that they're implementing in conjunction with the SWIFT system. But look at this. This is a must watch. The World Economic Forum speaker, this guest crashed the 2024 Davos conference, and here's what he said.
And I appreciate the World Economic Forum providing me the opportunity to be on this stage and say, F you, Klaus Schwab, and F your New World Order. We, the people, were born free. We will stay free. And you and all of your globalist friends, including everyone in this room, can go F yourself.
Now, shortly after that, he came back up and was forced to apologize, and looks like he's got a little black eye on his face. Listen to this.
And so yesterday, I stood on this stage and said some things that I should not have said. But we all deserve a second chance. So I would like to apologize to absolutely no one. None of you were elected to show us how we should live our lives. All of you motherfuckers took your private jets to show up to this meeting, so don't lecture us about the environment. I ain't eating bugs. You can eat these nuts. And once again, you and your fake climate agenda can go.
Okay, so I don't know if that was real. I think that might have been a parody, but that's how a lot of people are feeling. It's kind of like you're turning over your baby to these globalists to, usher it into their friends in suits. And yeah, that sure that could lead to more mainstream adoption, but it kind of turns crypto into something else than what it was originally designed to be. And then you have someone like Donald Trump saying that, as your president, I will never allow the creation of a central banking digital currency. Listen to this.
Tonight, I'm also making another promise to protect Americans from government tyranny. As your president, I will never allow the creation of a central bank digital currency. You know about that? I didn't know you know so much. I'm New Hampshire, very smart people. Very current. You know what they're doing. Such a currency would give a federal government, our federal government, the absolute control over your money. They could take your money, you wouldn't even know it was gone. This would be a dangerous threat to freedom, and I will stop it from coming.
So with him going against the powers that be, there's a few outcomes from that. Either they'll try and assassinate him and shoot him like they did JFK, or they'll interfere with the election, and that will cause some chaos in the markets and some sort of shakeout event. And so we'll see what happens there. Expect the unexpected, right? The Simpsons, predicted him getting assassinated. So who knows if in this alternate parallel reality, if that happens, depending on what you're focusing on, or if he becomes president, we'll see. But expect some type of manipulation event to take place, and then for that affect the markets. And then just have some dry powder on the sidelines, get ready to back up the truck. Now, Ripple is confirming approval in 31 U.S. states for money transmitter license, with 31 money transmitter licenses across the U.S., including California, New York, Texas, and Florida, excluding those states. It's setting the stage. Ripple's global reach extends to Singapore with a rare regulatory green light in June. Despite the SEC attack on crypto, Ripple continues to thrive, and now they just have to pay the SEC a little fee, and then that's coming in, April and May around Bitcoin's halving. And so XRP will just follow Bitcoin, in my opinion, over the next few months. But there's some massive updates coming too, guys, with XLS 30D. If this amendment passes, the XRP holders will finally have the chance to generate passive income. And so you guys can check this out on Twitter. It looks like STEDAS posted this. And then what is the current status of the XLS 30D amendment? It's currently in the development phase. It's been inactive as of December 7th, 2023, and the amendment process follows a specific protocol. And if the amendment receives more than 80% support for 2 weeks, the amendment passes, and the changes apply permanently to all subsequent ledger versions. If approved, the amendment could be implemented as early as Q1 of 2024. And so this would be great news because passive income is a big key for people to hold their income on a certain protocol or project, and XRP would be one of those. Now, the Reserve Bank of New Zealand has been discussing Ripple and XRP in the context of the future of money and central bank digital currencies. And so Ripple announced a private version of the XRP ledger, which is of interest to central banks for its potential application in CBDCs. The RBNZ is likely exploring the implication of these developments for the future of money and the potential use of private innovations like Ripple's technology in the CBDC initiatives. The special details of their discussions can be found in the RBNZ's publication of the future of money and CBDCs. And so this is kind of counterintuitive to what Trump was saying about not allowing a CBDC, but who knows if that would even pass, because it's kind of like this has been their plan all along to control the money, and that's why crypto was created in the first place. And so there will be CBDCs, there will be companies that will aid that, and then there will be the currencies that will shine through the storm because they're working in conjunction with government regulators, central banks, and massive financial institutions like Ripple and like XRP. So that's why it's important to be diversified, because if you're just holding XRP and it doesn't do as well as everyone thinks, well then you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot. Although I don't think that's going to happen. I think it will do well long term because it has the regulatory clarity. They got the partnerships. But I do think there will be other projects that will outperform XRP in the short term until the payment rails are fully ready to flip the switch, so to speak. And that's why you have to know which altcoins to be diversified into. So if you want to discover our top altcoin picks and get early bird access to our financial education platform first, when that's released, guys, you can go to bullrunners.com right now. Take the time, do that. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and click the link below. And then click the big green button on the page, put in your best email address. You're going to get instant access to our Telegram group for free. You get subscribed to our daily newsletter, and you'll be notified first, on our top altcoin picks and our financial education platform, because we give you the best to help you prepare for the worst that's yet to come in this economy. Because together, we're backing up our trucks all the way to the bank, grabbing the bags, packing them and stacking them, leaving no bags left behind, because we believe the spending power of the dollar is going down in value. That's a fact based on inflation in the clip I played at the beginning of this video. And blockchain technology, distributed ledger technology, and cryptocurrencies are going up in interest. That's the truth. And together, you know where we're going. We're going camping on the beaches of the moon. I'll see you guys on the next video. I'll see you on bullrunners.com. As always, stay bullish.